with God-given rights. And Michelle did not back down. And so I want everyone here of every faith to just indulge me, and we'll thank our Heavenly Father together. Our Father, who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done, on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our trespasses, as we forgive those who trespass against us. And lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. Amen. All right. And now, that prayer, the prayer we said every morning in school. He's a member of the American Legion. He's a proud patriot. He's going to lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance. Remove your caps.
Good morning, everyone. Whoa. Well, Lou, I thought it was you. For the public not here, the American flag is a symbol of democracy. It is a vehicle for which we allow protest. As a result, the American flag should never be disrespected by anyone at any time. So with great honor and dignity, I would like to lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you.
All right. Everybody have your song sheets? You don't have one? Nick's got them right here. Is Michelle here? Come on, Michelle, you got a better voice than I do. Everybody knows this song. You learned it in school. It's another prayer written by Irving Berlin. Come on and join me now. God bless America, land that I love. Stand beside her and guide her through the night with the light from above. From the mountains to the prairies, to the oceans white with foam. God bless America, my home, sweet home. God bless America, my home, sweet home. Stand beside her and guide her through the night with the light from above. It's been a long day. From the mountains to the prairies, to the oceans white with foam. God bless America, my home, sweet home. God bless America, my home, sweet home. All right. So I want to point out a couple quick things. If you're looking at the song sheet, people say that the conservatives aren't ecologically minded. They're recycled from the abortion movement, the anti-abortion movement. So I want to thank the people that gave those to us, and I want to bring up our very first speaker. Everybody knows her. She's a real patriot, Jessica Vaughn.
Good morning. So glad to see you all here. This is so important for all of us to be here. Our founding fathers determined that immigration policy and immigration law would be a federal law, a uniform law for our entire country. And they gave Congress the power to make that law, and the president the power to enforce that law, and all the people who work for the executive branch. And so our ICE officers have a constitutional duty to enforce the laws that Congress enacts. And we have immigration. Immigration law is not some outdated, obsolete law that doesn't deserve to be enforced. It protects jobs for Americans. It protects taxpayers from paying for benefits to people who are ineligible for them. And most importantly, it keeps us safe and our country safe. And immigration has become an emotional issue for many, but in fact, and everyone says that it's a complicated, controversial law, but it's actually quite simple. If we're going to have a legal immigration system, which we want to have rules and they have to be enforced. Of course, in a humane and fair way, but they must be enforced. The late great civil rights leader and member of Congress, Barbara Jordan, who chaired the Commission on Immigration Reform in the mid-1990s, distilled our immigration objectives very simply. She said, those who should get in, get in. Those who should not get in are kept out. And those who manage to get in, who shouldn't be here, must be removed. I think we as Americans all understand that principle, that we need to have our immigration laws enforced. But today, there are many folks who believe that we should have a different immigration system, and they're entitled to their opinion, of course, but they haven't been able to convince Congress, which writes the laws, to change the laws. So in a lot of cases, they've decided to take the law into their own hands, whether they're judges, or whether they're state and local lawmakers, or whether they're activists. And rather than try to convince people of the merits of their view, instead they've started demonizing those who disagree with them, but also, sadly, those who are bound by duty to enforce the laws that we have, and that is ICE. And you know, it's bad enough that immigration enforcement has become so politicized that ICE is singled out for non-cooperation, using trumped-up reasons, trying to argue that they don't have the authority in certain ways to enforce the law. But what is truly unacceptable is that the men and women of ICE have been demonized for doing their job. This is not only unacceptable, it's despicable. And that's why we're here today. And I'm so glad to see so many of you here to support the men and women of ICE. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Jessica. God bless you for all you do. Let's see. Our next speaker is somebody that doesn't need any, sadly doesn't need any introduction. She lost her son to illegal alien crime. She's become one of the strongest voices all over the nation. When the dirty rats in the swamp wouldn't let President Trump hear the voices of the victims of illegal alien crime, this lady put her shoulder down and pushed the door of the White House wide open. Ladies and gentlemen, put your hands together for a tremendous person, wonderful, wonderful lady, Maureen Maloney.
All right. Well, I first want to thank all of you for coming out here today to stand by and support the brave men and women of ICE who do a tremendous job keeping Massachusetts safe. As many of you know, my son Matthew Denise was 23 years old when he was tragically killed by an illegal alien. Matthew was riding his motorcycle in a residential area when a drunk, unlicensed illegal alien ran through a stop sign and collided with Matthew. When the illegal alien fled, he ran Matthew over again and dragged him a quarter of a mile to his death. In the blink of an eye, Matthew's life and his future was taken from him. Our family, as we knew it, was destroyed, and we are now permanently separated. Illegal immigration is not a victimless crime, nor does it care what party you are affiliated with. Each year, thousands of American citizens are killed by illegal aliens. Even more are raped, forced into sex trafficking, maimed, assaulted, or have their identity stolen. Yet these are the exact people, the criminal aliens, that sanctuary policies are protecting by not cooperating with ICE. We need to hold our lawmakers and judges accountable before you or someone you love is unnecessarily victimized by a criminal alien that ICE could have removed from the country. The public safety and human costs are just too great to bear. As I stand here today with a heavy heart, I wish we didn't have to be here. However, it is because of the public safety risk and preventable loss of so many Americans due to the lax immigration laws that are still in place in this country that brings us here today. A place where we, the people, have to support the ICE officials who have been charged to protect Americans from threats to national security and public safety by cross-border crime and illegal immigration. It's a sad day in America when the left wants to abolish ICE for doing its job in protecting Americans from terroristic threats and illegal alien crime. It's a sad day when sanctuary policies protect criminal aliens while undermining the public safety of law-abiding citizens. The people who should be here today standing with ICE are the politicians we have elected to office, who swore to uphold the Constitution of the United States of America, to protect Americans and the sovereignty of the nation. When these same people, which include lawmakers, district attorneys, judges, and even some law enforcement, place the rights of illegal aliens before those of U.S. citizens, our country and our children suffer the dire consequences. The support of ICE, our law enforcement and policies to keep Americans safe should not be in question. Without ICE, without laws, our country is left in anarchy. We must stand up to those who wish to abolish ICE and to reduce our law enforcement to nothing more than chaperones of illegal aliens.
Vote them out.
Absolutely, yes. Have your voices heard in the ballot box. On a final note, I just want to remind everybody that on December 2nd, there will be a hearing at the State House for the Safe Communities Act bill, which really should be called the Unsafe Communities Act bill because it seeks to make Massachusetts a sanctuary state. Please show up to oppose this dangerous bill that will only give more rights to illegal aliens while jeopardizing public safety and making ICE's job more difficult and dangerous. We need to send a loud and clear message: Americans first.
I get to say a couple of words right now. So my name's Lou Murray, and I helped Michelle put this together with Maureen from American Victims Advocates for Victims of Illegal Alien Crime. And I want to just make one fine point. The Supreme Judicial Court in Massachusetts has made a judge-made law that our police forces cannot honor an ICE detainer. So effectively, we already are a sanctuary state. And I want to remind each and every one of you that the justices of the Supreme Judicial Court who made that ruling were all, or almost all, appointed by a Republican governor. So when you see the politicians get to the podium and cry about the opioid disaster that's striking this state, and the methamphetamine crisis that is coming down our throats from the Mexican cartels faster than a speeding bullet. All those politicians, Democrats and Republicans, you tell them, the answer is to stop the flow of illegal alien criminals across the border. That's the answer to the opioid crisis, right? We know from the Boston Police Intelligence Report that was released to the press a couple years back, 67% of illegal alien drug trafficking in opioids in Greater Boston is controlled by transnational, basically mafiosos, criminal gang families, you know, and they're doing nothing. They're doing nothing. Just coming to the podiums and they're crying and they want to make you feel like they're with you, and they're giving everybody Narcan. But the answer is to enforce our laws. And Marty Walsh, this next little bit's for you, Mr. Mayor. Right now, and Michael Flaherty and all the other members of the Boston City Council, we have a trust act. That's what they called it. It's Orwellian. We have sanctuary city policies in the city of Boston. That's sanctuary city policies are non-cooperation laws that says what our police can and cannot do. Now, if you're the mayor, if you're a city councilor, and the intelligence services of the FBI, the DEA, and your own police department tell you that 67% of the drug trafficking in your city is being handled by Dominican transnational gangs working in cooperation with the Mexican cartels, what the hell are you doing not letting your police work with the fine officers of ICE? It's time to get mad, people. This is killing our sons and daughters and our cousins and our neighbors. And Narcan isn't the answer. The answer is to buckle up, Buttercup, and enforce the laws, right? Now, Councilor Zakum has introduced a bill to amend the non-cooperation laws in the city of Boston. And it's a ruse. It's a ruse, folks. It was a way for the ACLU, who have nothing to do with civil liberties for us, for the citizens. They should have rushed to Michelle Malkin's aid when she was banned from speaking at Bentley, sorry. They're gonna change the name of Bentley to Berkeley. Anyhow, the ACLU has introduced their own language, and they're trying to force that through in the next couple of weeks while no one's paying attention at Thanksgiving to make Boston have more liberal sanctuary city laws than even San Francisco. That's our state capital, folks, and that's where a lot of the drugs that come into the cities and towns start from. Starts from Boston and starts from Lawrence, and it flows into all the cities and towns all over New England. So let's grab our politicians by the ear over Thanksgiving and tell them, Congressman, Congresswoman Clark, stop with the impeachment and get with the program and protect the citizens and get the border back in shape and put our laws, put some teeth back in our laws. And Boston City Council, shame on you, shame on you. All right. You didn't come here today to hear me pontificate. Thank you, Mom. Thank you, Mom. I love you, Mom. All right. You came here today to hear from noted television commentator, newspaper columnist, an unbelievable reporter, 7-time best-selling author. Without any further ado, let's hear from her. A wonderful, racist, Nazi, Michelle Malkin.
Good morning. Good morning. I am so honored to be here in the cradle of liberty. How many of you identify as unapologetic Americans? Raise your hand. We all did the Pledge of Allegiance, and we pledged allegiance to one nation under God, indivisible, and justice for all. I stand here as a proud #America First advocate. And like so many of you, that has put me in the crosshairs of nefarious thugs and radicals and haters of our country. How many of you have been targeted or suffered the slings and arrows of all of these false narratives and smears? Raise your hands. I'm with you. You are not alone. That's why I'm here. And you know what? The people that work in this building face those onslaughts and that bile every single day. Why? For doing their jobs to protect and serve. That is why we are here. If you have a Twitter account, if you have social media, make sure that you tweet that you're here, that you have put boots on the ground to hashtag stand with ICE. Thank you, ICE! Thank you, ICE! Stand with ICE. You know, I still miraculously do have social media accounts, and so many of you know that there are open borders radicals ensconced in Silicon Valley CEO offices who hate our country, right? They make profits, they make billions of dollars, and they've been very busy at work since President Trump, God bless him, took office. They've been brazen, they've been caught on tape thanks to great investigative journalists like James O'Keefe and his team at Project Veritas. Follow him on Twitter, make sure you keep up on his work. And the agenda of so many of these people have been revealed. They are enabling the abolish ICE radicals and helping to do what they want to accomplish before Election Day. What is their explicit goal? To deny President Trump re-election and protect Open Borders, Inc. We need to stand up for these men and women, because what the radical left and the big business right want is to throw a wrench into the vital function of interior enforcement of this country. Every day these people behind us put on their uniforms, and they do what my parents, who are naturalized Americans, how many of you in the House raise your hands? Thank you. Thank you for being here. Americans by choice, who understand that it is a privilege to be here and not some entitlement, not some international human right. And my parents took an oath of naturalization to protect and defend the laws and Constitution of the United States against all enemies, foreign and domestic. That's what we have to fight every single day, and we can do it in our daily lives. That is why we are here. Let me ask you a question. Do you want our entire nation to be a sanctuary nation for criminal aliens? No! Are you here because you stand up for a sovereign nation? Yes! And that means the right of self-determination to determine who comes into the country, how long they're here, what they're here for, what traits they bring to the country, and if, as Jessica referenced, Barbara Jordan's very famous simple formulation for sovereignty, and if we detect people who don't belong here, that our men and women in uniform have the ability to detain foreign menaces, foreign enemies, and deport them and send them back. Okay? So, that makes us racists, that makes us haters, that makes us, me, a white supremacist. All right, sister, that's right. We're the brownest white supremacists out there, right? No, we're not haters, we are lovers, right? We love this country, we're willing to fight for it. And that means fighting a lot of different special interests. That is why I spent the last 8 months of many, many sleepless nights amassing a dossier of all of the funders and financiers and profiteers who have joined together in creating and manufacturing a global human smuggling racket and crisis. It affects every aspect of our daily lives in America. It affects our public safety, our national security. And isn't it a shame that 18 years after the 9/11 terrorist attacks, when many of you in
your neighborhoods and communities felt viscerally and directly the effects of lax immigration enforcement 18 years later, and people forget. There's collective amnesia. One of the things that makes this region so special is the fact that you have generations of families of people who work in law enforcement and immigration enforcement. People who have fathers and grandfathers and daughters and sons and aunts and uncles who are firefighters, police officers, and yes, immigration enforcement officers. They deserve the respect and honor and praise every bit as much as the first responders after 9/11. And that is how we have to see them and protect them and protect their jobs. They are demonized on a daily basis. And I talk in Open Borders, Inc. about the funders of these groups who have as their primary and sole mission to demonize ICE, to liken them to Alexandria Open Borders, right? Likening them to concentration camp guards. Shame on you, AOC. Shame, shame, shame. Shame on you. We've got an entire anti-American squad, they call themselves. And the reason why I have climbed down from my mountaintop in Colorado Springs, where I've lived happily for the last 12 years, and gotten out onto the ground, is not simply because I want to sell books. There are a lot of people who've profited from what is called conservatism, Inc. All right, that's right. And what's happened is that you have so many people that have R's by their name that might as well have D's or S's for Soros, okay? And we need to name those names, and that is why it is so vital that we have outspoken and unapologetic advocates like Lou Murray from Bostonians Against Sanctuary Cities, like Maureen Maloney and AVAC, and the Angel families. And what we need is vocal support from you when our president, who won on a platform of America First and building walls, we need you to daily remind him that that is his priority. And we need help, and he needs help. He can't do it alone, and we can't do it alone, because there are many open borders operatives who work inside our supposed tent. How many military veterans do we have in the House? God bless you. Thank you. Thank you for your service. And you certainly know the concept of fragging, which I have talked about for the last 3 months. When our enemies are inside the tent, lobbing grenades at the people who are protecting and serving. That's the conflict that's going on, not only in the Beltway, but also in swamp politics in Massachusetts, and across the flyover country, and certainly on the coasts. You know what we need? We need to take back the Republican Party, right? Because I voted for President Trump because I did not want Jeb Bush in office, right? Low energy Jeb Bush, who believes that every act of illegal immigration and border crossing and visa overstaying is, quote, an act of love. All right? No more Bushes. No more Bushes. No more Romneys. No more Romneys. Right? Elizabeth Warren is bad enough. Right? Now, low energy and low patriotism, right? We're done with you.
Don't forget Devil Patrick. Devil Patrick.
So we've got these Senate Republicans who are working in concert with the U.S. Chamber of Commerce, which does not work for the U.S. anymore, right? Anyone but the U.S. We've got Silicon Valley. We have, unfortunately, many religious institutions that put illegal aliens above American citizens. How many Catholics do I have in the House? Yes. How many Catholics do I have in the House who are aware that Pope Francis has anointed himself the global leader of the anti-Trump, anti-American resistance? Right? Okay? Now, there's all of these campaigns to lure minority constituencies away from the left, you know, Blexit, then Jexit, and all that. You know what we need? We need a Cathexit.
Oh, yeah.
Okay? Or we need to stay within the church and enlighten people about the odious and traitorous agenda of the U.S. Conference of Catholic Bishops. Am I right? The Catholic Campaign for Human Development. And unfortunately, so many people who either unwittingly or deliberately have turned many of these Catholic charities into illegal alien and mass migration charities. Unfortunately, the refugee resettlement program is a multi-billion-dollar racket for open borders elites. And we have a president who understands this, is now facing slings and arrows for reducing the unprecedented numbers of refugees that are coming into the country from many dangerous places. Do you want your neighborhoods to be turned into the next Twin Cities? No. Do you want 1 million Ilhan Omars in our country? No. Now, does that make me a racist? Does it make me an Islamophobe? Look, I don't want 1 million Greta Thunbergs here either, right? I have preached since 2002, and the publication of my very first book, wait a minute, it's a trigger, so hold on, crouch if you need a safe space, Invasion, all right? That's what it is. I call things what they are. We all need to do that. I have talked about the ultimate solution that we needed, and I'm very sad when I think about how much better we all would have been off if we put an immediate pause, an overall immigration moratorium, and how many more lives would have been saved, how fewer numbers of angel families would be standing up today. And this is why I'm so grateful for President Trump, because when he was a candidate, rather than spurn the angel families like so many elites did, I have to tell you, so many of you are familiar with the story of Jamil Shaw in Los Angeles, one of the most staunchest advocates against our border chaos, lost his son, a star football player who was murdered by an illegal alien gang member in Los Angeles. And I tried to help Jamil Shaw catch the attention of Reince Priebus and the swamp people in the GOP, and he was ignored, but not by President Trump, who invited these angel families to the stage to tell their stories because he was committed to America first. America first. That is why he won, and if he's going to win again, he must redouble his commitment to Americans first. That's right. The Jared Kushner agenda is not the agenda that I voted for. Is that what you voted for? No. Right now, as the DC swamp is distracted with bread and circuses, impeachment hearings, behind the scenes and backroom deals, big business, agribusiness, and the cheap labor lobby are joining together. Right in front of the cameras, you'll hear all of the Republicans say, "Oh yeah, I want to end the diversity visa lottery," and talking points GOP. What alarms me is when we have young leaders who get out there and go on college campuses, call themselves conservative America First advocates, and then mouth the talking points of the cheap labor lobby. We need to stand up to them, and we have young people on college campuses now who are doing what no one has done before. I support them, and that's why I've been smeared. That is why I was #banned in Boston, but I will not let my big mouth be shut. And I want to tell you, and I want to encourage you, because a lot of people, you know, when I go across the country, this is the 5th Stand With ICE rally I've had. I'm wearing a hat from a retired ICE agent who gave this to me at my very first Stand With ICE rally in Colorado. progressives are always told, well, no, we can't be like the left. We have jobs. Yes, we have jobs. We also know how to multitask. Am I right, moms especially? Right? We can juggle, and we can take our kids to soccer and ice hockey practice, and yes, we can show up at rallies and counter the agitators. We need to do it. And there's a lot of people who are paid to sit in green rooms and yak on TV, and yes, I was one of them, and that's important. There's a division of labor. But what can you do? Changing our country and saving our country starts in our own backyards. Right? The liberals know this, the progressives, Alinsky, they all know this. All politics is local. And what's happening across the country has metastasized here in Boston. You have these sanctuary outlaws who are every bit as dangerous as Antifa. Rachel Rollins? Boo! Marion Ryan? Boo! You've got these outlaws. They don't wear black masks and they don't have black clothing. Yo, wait, yes they do. They're wearing black robes, like Indira Talwani, right? And Shelley Joseph. Hey, we hear this chant about Hillary, lock her up. How? Locking up some of these sanctuary outlaw judges, right? We've got impeachment hearings. How about impeaching these open borders judges? How about starting right here in Boston, the cradle of liberty, and reclaiming it? And how about being a model for the rest of the country how to do it? Jessica Vaughn and the Center for Immigration Studies, I want to single them out there, your #1 resource for all things on the mass migration crisis. Make sure you follow them on Twitter. Make sure that you disseminate their work, because it's important what they're doing. They're enlightening you about what's going on in your own backyard. Everybody needs to raise their voices before this December 2nd hearing and pay attention, especially to all of these people who are bred in these law schools in New England. Because you know what? They're not fighting for your rights. They're not, and you have to defund so many of these entities. If you're an alum of Bentley University, hello, right? Or these, there you go, or these Ivy League institutions that create these pro bono law clinics that are set down to the border to advise know your rights seminars, not for you all, no. I mean, it is so hard for American citizens and American workers to get standing in American courts. But we've got these groups that are advising illegal aliens and then representing them all the way up to the Supreme Court. How many of you saw thousands of illegal alien young people on the steps of the U.S. Supreme Court last week for the DACA hearing? Right? Do you know who funded them?
Who?
Okay. Yes, of course. George Soros, the CEO of Open Borders. But you know who else? On the right wing, the Koch brother. Right? They fund something called the Libra Initiative, which poses as this conservative group to empower Latinos. Right? These are the people that accuse us of identity politics because we identify as Americans, while they are subsidizing an agenda that promotes illegal alien to interstate tuition discounts, right? And driver's licenses for illegal aliens. And, they think that if they do this outreach, that all of a sudden, miraculously, the voting trends of large ethnic blocs are going to change, right? Have you seen the exit polls from Virginia, people? Have you seen what's happened to California, where I used to live? This is why we need an immigration pause, because this is not only demographic doom, it's electoral suicide for the Republican Party. Newsflash, right? And of course it happened here too. We've got to stop them. We absolutely have to stop them. And for warning about the numbers, for warning about the consequences from a public safety standpoint, from national security, and the economic impact, especially on young people. And I'm so glad to see the young people in the audience. This is your battle. We are passing the torch to you. And you know what? For all of the young people out there who've been on these college campuses, did you see what happened to Berserkly? this past week when Ann Coulter went to speak, you had young, beautiful, peaceful people. They were spat on, they were cursed at. Many of them have been assaulted across the country, and they accuse us of a quote-unquote, a climate of hate.
Yeah.
It's a brave act simply to show up and turn your camera and expose these people. I've tried to do this over a 25-plus year career. And the thing is, yes, I fight. Yes, I'm a scrapper, and I think that that is a Boston trait. Yes, and you need to bring that to the table. You need to put your boots on the ground and do that. There are many things you can do. You know, we had our event that was supposed to be banned at an undisclosed location in Boston last night. And how many of you saw that on my live stream Periscope? Thank you, appreciate that. There were many brave people who came out who have been ostracized for simply speaking up for America or putting a Trump sticker on the back of their car. And there was an act of sharing information and gathering together. That is a significant stand. That is a significant gesture. This is not symbolic. And people say to me, well, I don't know, going on Twitter, that's not such a bit. Yes, it is actually. Right? You know how Cory Booker says that he is Spartacus? No, he's not. You are. I am. Right? I am Spartacus. I am Spartacus. There is strength in numbers. That's right. And that's what I want to leave you with. Okay? I've been doing this for a long time, and I understand that I had a duty to do right by my parents, who came here by choice as legal immigrants from the Philippines in 1970. They brought with them special skills. They swore a fealty to our traditions, laws, and customs. You know the A word that's been abandoned? Everybody wants amnesty now. But there was a time when assimilation was the goal, the agenda, and the pledge and the vow. To be unhyphenated and unapologetic Americans. And for the past 25 years, when I started my career in Los Angeles, moved up to Seattle and made many friends in the U.S. Border Patrol and the Customs Agency there, to the time I spent on the East Coast, and I will never forget, etched in my heart and my mind, what it was like to be an American in the aftermath of 9/11, to the last 3 months of this book tour, my 7th book, my lucky 7th. And I have to tell you that I've had some appalling moments, but they are moments that have been revealing, because there are 3 types of people in our country. People who run to the fire. How many of that is you? Every one of you, it has to be. There are people who cut and run. And there are people who live life by running out the clock. The clock is ticking, and it is our time to run towards the fire. And we have to do it together. Because our country is freaking burning, right? And the red emergency lights are flashing. Somebody is holding up a beautiful flag here. We've got Betsy Ross. Yes, trigger warning over there. And a Don't Tread on Me flag. But this thin blue line flag is especially remarkable and a beautiful flag. I was at a police gala in New Jersey a couple of days ago with some amazing patriots, including Tom Homan, former acting ICE director. How many of you want to be in the position that he was in, sitting across from Big Mouth AOC saying, "You work for me, lady." I love it. He's doing a great job supporting and defending his colleagues at ICE and, of course, our president. Bernie Carrick, the former commissioner of NYPD, Sheriff David Clark, Sheriff Joe Arpaio. And what I hope one day is to be sitting in a gala like that, honoring the men and women of ICE. That's why we're here, to stand with ICE. I've told many of the stories of dedicated ICE agents who've sacrificed for this country. I do a documentary series that now airs on Newsmax, and there were two special ICE agents, Victor Avila and Jaime Zapata, who were south of the border, ambushed by the Zetas cartel members. And Jaime Zapata gave his life. I'll never forget his family. Victor Avila fights on for full justice in his case and standing up for ICE agents. And there are other law enforcement officials who have given their lives because of our unwillingness to fully enforce our laws. People like David March, a former LA County Sheriff's deputy. People like Rodney Johnston, a Houston police officer who was killed by an illegal alien. And you go on TV and you see a lot of people and they say the platitudes and then they move on, because to them these stories have the shelf life of McDonald's French fries. That is not me. That is not me. And it is my obligation to exercise my First Amendment rights as a journalist, right? Not one of those stenographers for Open Borders elites, but somebody who tells the stories that nobody else will tell. And it is a privilege for me. You know, I could have had it easy on this book tour. Like, yeah, wouldn't it have been better to be in some, you know, warm green room in New York somewhere rather than with you? But I've always had my heart with the grassroots. You know, whether it was the instigating revolt against open borders in California. You know, it's the 25-year anniversary of Proposition 187, which was a clarion call. They called it the Save Our State Initiative, an SOS. That was 25 years ago. And every time voters have had a chance to weigh in the initiative and referendum system, they have always voted in favor of America over open borders. How many of you saw that even in wacky Phoenix, they rejected sanctuary policies, right? And in Washington State, when there was an initiative against driver's licenses for illegal aliens, they chose America over open borders. You have the power in your hands to revolt against these open borders judges, to do something about these open borders DAs, and to do something about squishy Republicans who are enabling open borders in your state. Rhinos, take every measure, take every opportunity, and stand with America and stand with each other. God bless you all. Take care.
USA, 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 USA. Stand with ICE, stand with ICE, stand with ICE, stand with ICE. All right, everyone, we're going to save our voices for one last thing. Don't go anywhere. I'm not singing this alone. Over here. All right, I just want to remind everybody, we got in January, we got an election coming up in January for the state committee. On March 3rd, there will be an election for the state committees for both the Democrat and the Republican Party. If you're a Democrat, you're here today, elect Democrats that want to have a country, that want to restore our sovereignty. If you're a Republican, elect people to the Republicans. Yes, we don't need any names. We're going to be good. He's right, always up front, every place. But we're all about ICE today. But I just want to remind people, we have these state committee elections. Elect people to the state committee that are against illegal immigration and want to put judges on the state Supreme Court that aren't going to support open borders, because we have judge-imposed law in Massachusetts. Okay, and that's enough of that. Let's, everyone that's here, take 2 steps forward. We're a family. Come a little closer. You can tell we're Catholics around here because the front pews are always open. Okay. We got one last song. We're going to do all 4 verses. You know, when God hears you sing, you're all in perfect tune. So Belt it out, people, okay? Overwhelm my voice.
Move up. Move up. Move up.
Michelle, help me out
Big
here.
photo here. Move up. Big photo.
Okay.
Photo up. Move up.
Michelle's going to get you all on Twitter. There's going to be 2.1 million people looking at your beautiful New England, Boston shovel faces.
Get out.
Great. Yeah?
Go.
Stand up straight. Mom, how we looking, Mom? All right, I love you. Doesn't matter, just sing loud, because I'm not in key, for God's sakes. And how about just one last round of applause? While we're waiting for Michelle to get her Twitter up, one last round of applause for ICE. That's why we came out today. There's a set of glasses up here somebody lost. You good to go? All right, we're good to go. You're live, people. My country, 'tis of thee, sweet land of liberty, of thee I sing. Land where my fathers died, land of the pilgrim's pride, from every mountainside, let freedom ring. My native country, the land of the noble free. That's you. A name I love. I love thy rocks and rills, thy woods and templed hills. My heart with rapture thrills like that above. Let them hear you in Milwaukee. Freedom song. Let mortal tongues awake. Let all that breath partake. Let rocks their silence break. A sound prolong. Our fathers, God, to thee, author of liberty, to thee we sing. Long may our land be bright with freedom's holy light. Protect us by thy might, great God our King. Okay, Michelle's going to be here for about 10 minutes. Okay, she's gonna stay as long as need. When you come up to speak with her, remember, there's a lot of people here. Move along. Let somebody else just say hi, because she's got to get back. She's got a family. All right? And hey, everybody, just give yourselves a round of applause coming out on a cold winter morning. I love you. God bless you. And all right. Thank you, Nick. Thank you, Maureen. Thank you, Jessica. And thank you, ICE. Yes. One more round for ICE. And there's a handful of souvenir band in Boston tickets. Maybe Michelle will autograph them for you. Okay, thanks, guys.
I know.
If everyone can stand back, just stand.
Thank you. Tomorrow, you know.
Something to say that just said hello to me. Here she is.
Where we hit it? Right in the middle, warmer spot.